after 25 years. A very emotional day right here at criminal court. This wrapped up about 30 or 40 minutes ago. We've been here since 8:30 in the morning.
A stressful day for three families and for the defendant and for those who care for Davion, Dominic, and Mackenzie. I expect everyone here to be respectful of everyone who's in the room. And if there is any disruptive behavior, I will pause the proceedings and the deputies will escort you out. The court's process will be as follows.
I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
A young convicted killer cries in court before learning his fate for the violent murder of his girlfriend's son. Good evening, everyone. The death of young Austin Smith shocked many people, but what his killer said in court today is guaranteed to shock you.
Clifton. Phillips hit the 8-year-old with a baseball bat a number of times, slashed her throat with a scissors, then hid her body in his bed as police, family, and strangers searched for her for a week. The case was reopened when the Supreme Court ruled minors can't be sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Taking the evidence as a whole, I find that the impact of your ASD on your culpability is limited.
It was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense for moral or legal justification. And it was heinous, atrocious, and cruel. This factor and this factor alone
is Dylan Shoemaker, who was charged with second-degree murder in Florida for the death of his girlfriend's 23-month-old son.
I loved him a lot.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless. That's a given. But there were other dynamics at work there.
Shoemaker was accused of killing Austin Smith, the toddler in his care. The incident involved fatal injuries that led to the child's death, sparking a harrowing investigation. On July 23, 2013, Shoemaker was recorded on a phone call revealing a chilling plan to manipulate his jury with tears. And true to his word, he tried to carry out his plan.
I can't take back what was done. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
The judge was not impressed.
Who minimizes his actions.
The record will show that you admitted that on July 23, 2013, in a phone call to your mother from the holding center, you stated, and I got a quote from the court reporter, "I am a 16-year-old blonde. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me," end quote.
The defense had argued for Shoemaker.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless. That's a given. But there were other dynamics at work there, including my client's inability to either control his anger or frustration and his inexperience in babysitting.
Based on his short life now, what is to say he won't do this again?
However, the judge challenged that.
Well, we don't know that. I think it's completely unlikely. It was a situational, circumstantial thing.
And Shoemaker's plan quickly unraveled in court. The judge's sentencing followed.
It is a judgment of this court that upon your conviction for the crime of murder in the second degree, that you be sentenced to an indeterminate term of imprisonment which will have a maximum of life. The court hereby imposes a minimum sentence of 25 years.
Dylan's reaction?
The surcharge is $300, the crime victim's assistance fee is $25, and the $50 DNA databank fee, all to be paid out of prison funds. You have 30 days within which to file a notice of appeal.
Thank you.
The tears were gone, somehow. For Dylan, he tried to manipulate the court and failed. But what happens when another teen has help from her mother to manipulate the jury after her crimes? This is Mackenzie Shirilla, who was charged with murder, aggravated vehicular homicide, felonious assault, and drug possession in Strongsville, Ohio.
It was a stressful day for three families and for the defendant and for those who care for Davion, Dominic, and Mackenzie. I expect everyone here to be respectful of everyone who's in the room, and if there is any disruptive behavior, I will pause the proceedings and the deputies will escort you out. The court's process will be as follows.
At just 17, Mackenzie Shirilla was involved in a tragic event that would shatter multiple lives. Raised in Strongsville, she had been dating Dominic Russo, 20, for several years. However, their relationship was reportedly turbulent in the months leading up to the fatal crash. On July 31st, 2022, in the early morning hours, Shirilla was driving a 2018 Toyota Camry with her boyfriend Dominic Russo and their friend Davion Flanagan as passengers. Minutes after leaving a party, she slammed the vehicle into a brick building at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. The crash instantly killed Russo and Flanagan, while Shirilla herself suffered serious injuries.
The following: that the only counts for which the court will sentence today as a matter of law are counts 1 and 2, each of which is murder in violation of Ohio Revised Code section 2903.02a, count 1 being the murder of Dominic Russo, count 2 being the murder of Davion Flanagan. Each of these counts are statutory sentences. Each is 15 years to life with parole eligibility after the base term is served.
This wasn't ruled an accident. Investigators found clear evidence that Shirilla fully depressed the accelerator pedal and did not apply the brakes before the collision. Toxicology reports confirmed she was under the influence of marijuana, and psilocybin mushrooms were found in her possession. Experts also analyzed the car's event data recorder, confirming deliberate acceleration just before impact. However, before the sentencing, Davion's mother was given a moment to express her grief.
Flanagan. I am the mother of the victim, Davion Flanagan. I want to share a small part of what we lost on 7/31/2022. My son, Davion, is and always will be so much more than cargo. He was precious. He was an amazing soul with a heart of gold. He gave to the world what he wanted most in his own life: love. The kind of love that would rescue a friend in the middle of the night, no questions asked. The kind that would protect others and honor them. He made friends easily with his infectious smile. He was a gifted athlete. He had plans to go to barber school and open his own shop. My son did not have a clique of friends, but instead was a friend to all. He would go out of his way to show love and kindness to others, including those that were often cast aside by society.
Davion's sister followed.
To go through this, as an 8-year-old, I hate the fact that he has gone because someone decided to take his life. Now that Davion is gone, I feel stuck. I feel as if I can't move forward. I feel lost. He was the one who picked me up when I fell. He was my best friend and the only person that has stayed with me since I was born. I would like you to give Mackenzie the longest possible sentence. I've known her for about 3 years, and as she's always taken the easy way out. You shouldn't be able to take the easy way out when it comes to murder. It's completely unfair that no matter what sentence you give her, she will be eligible for parole, while my brother will be gone forever. Thank you, Your Honor.
Then Dominic's mother.
No one wanted this to be a murder or to punish Mackenzie Shirilla for this accident. But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. There's no fix put in this case, as the Shirillas would like to proclaim. I want to thank Strongsville Police Department.
Dominic's brother added his voice to reflect on his brother's life.
Dom may have been young, but he made the most of each day and had an impact on the lives of his friends and his family. Dom was a businessman, an athlete, a song producer, and an entrepreneur. Dom was not only my brother, he was also my best friend, and the friends in this courtroom also say Dom was their best friend. Many of my brother's interests and goals were centered on learning more about himself and how he could become a better person.
What added to the severity of the case was Mackenzie's behavior after the crime.
Part of the evidence in this case and introduced in trial was evidence from the defendant's cell phone. There were search warrants executed on her various social media accounts, her school records, her medical records, things of this nature. And I think that who she actually was is directly contradictory to what is painted by the letter submitted on behalf of her today.
And her total lack of remorse.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
All of this worked against her.
We think the defendant has shown a shocking lack of remorse, Your Honor. We think that she has continually put forward that this was an accident in spite of the fact that the evidence is in direct contradiction.
And the judge was unyielding.
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the two dead people.
The sentence was clear.
So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other with credit for time served.
How did Mackenzie take it?
Are there any questions from the state?
Mackenzie Shirilla was adequately punished, but what happens when a moment of betrayal on the road changes everything? This is Shelia Eddy, who was charged with first-degree murder in Wayne Township, Pennsylvania.
I ask that you exercise your discretion in face of the request of the state that she be remanded to the adult jurisdiction of the Division of Corrections, that she be given the period of at least 1 month time period within which to remain in juvenile services.
Shelia Eddy and her accomplice, Rachel Schoaf, were once best friends with Skylar Neese, but on July 6, 2012, that friendship turned deadly. On that night in Star City, West Virginia, Shelia and Rachel lured Skylar out of her home. After driving to a remote area in Pennsylvania, the two girls attacked Skylar with knives, stabbing her multiple times until she died. The crime was chillingly premeditated and carried out with cold precision. The secret was revealed months later when Rachel Schoaf, overwhelmed by guilt, confessed to the police and led them to Skylar's body. The legal proceedings unfolded quickly after this. Rachel Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and accepted a 30-year sentence with parole eligibility after 10 years. Shelia Eddy, on the other hand, faced a more severe sentence.
Eddy, for your conviction of the offense of murder in the first degree upon your plea of guilty, it is the sentence of the court that you've been imprisoned in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for the rest of your natural life.
Shelia's reaction:
that under the terms of my retention as Ms. Shelia Eddy's counsel, I will remain her counsel for all post-conviction matters into the foreseeable future.
Very well. I appreciate that. Thank you. Concludes the hearing.
All rise.
Stoic resignation and mild confusion. Shelia's crime was a complete betrayal. But what of a teen that brings that betrayal straight into her family? This is Carly Madison Greg, who was charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence in Rankin County, Mississippi.
Greg, you keep looking at your lawyers, and look, you can listen to your lawyers, but I want you to hear me. You and you alone will make this decision. There are 2 decisions that you're required to make, whether or not you're pleading guilty or not you're testifying. And at the end of this, only you will live with those decisions. Have you made a decision whether or not you wish to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and what's that decision?
I'd like to wait and see what the testimony.
The quiet of a Mississippi home shattered on March 19th when Carly Gregg fatally shot her mother, Ashley Smiley, a high school math teacher. The day unfolded with uncovering a hidden life of secrets, drugs, and desperation. On that day, after returning from school, Carly shot her mother with a .357 Magnum handgun inside their home. Then, she lured her stepfather, Heath Smiley, home by texting him pretending to be her mother. When he arrived, she shot him in the shoulder before he overpowered her. The shooting ended with Carly's arrest at the scene. Carly Gregg looked to be in distress as the court prepared for the sentencing.
I apologize. Everyone remain seated while the jury exits. Let's have a seat until the jury exits.
Leading up to the tragedy, prosecutors revealed Carly's secret life. A friend had warned her mother of Carly's drug use, including hidden vape pens with marijuana and burner phones. When Ashley discovered these, it sparked a fatal confrontation. Psychiatrists testified Carly was suffering severe mental health issues, mood swings, hearing voices, dissociation, worsened by newly prescribed medication just days before the shooting. Then, the chilling footage from inside the home emerged. After the shooting, Carly used her mother's phone to send texts to lure her stepfather back. The father recalls the moment.
Things seemed pretty normal, and came on in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen there, gun went off in my face before the door was, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches wide open. And everything kind of went pretty fast from there. It was
Smiley couldn't recognize Carly.
Gun flash in my face, and it went off 2 more times, but my hand was on the gun after the first shot. She was screaming out of her mind, scared. It was like she had seen a demon or something. She was terrified.
Soon after, a friend arrived and Carly asked a haunting question. Have you ever seen a dead body before? She led the friend to the grim discovery. The crime was grave, and so was the punishment.
As to count 1, we, the jury, sentence the defendant, Carly Madison Greg, to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole. Close quote.
And Carly Gregg's reaction?
Verdict will be as follows. Quote, as to count 1, we, the jury, are unable to affix the punishment. Close quote. You, the jury, have found the
Carly Gregg had mental health issues and took it out on her family. But what happens when another teenage killer takes it to his school? This is Aiden Fucci, who was charged with first-degree murder in St. Johns County, Florida.
I would submit that this case is probably the most difficult and shocking case that this county and St. Johns County has dealt with. In the 20 years that I have been, or 16 years that I have been practicing law, and the 30 years that I have lived and worked in this, all of Northeast Florida, this case is one of only a very small few that had this level and this type of impact on the community.
Tristan Tyne Bailey was a 13-year-old middle school cheerleader, full of energy and promise, when her life was tragically cut short. On Mother's Day, May 9th, 2021, in Florida, Fucci, a 14-year-old classmate, lured Tristan away from home. Surveillance footage caught them walking together late at night before Fucci fled alone, shoes in hand. Later that day, Tristan's body was found in a wooded area, bearing 114 stab wounds, nearly half of which were defensive, showing her desperate struggle. Authorities discovered evidence linking Fucci directly to the crime, including bloody clothes and a knife with the tip missing, which matched a fragment found in Tristan's scalp. Fucci was arrested and initially charged with second-degree murder, later upgraded to first-degree premeditated murder. According to friends, Fucci had expressed a desire to kill someone to see what it felt like and to watch them bleed out. A drawing discovered in his possession showed this desire. Bewildered by the case, the judge addressed the court.
114 stab wounds, 49 defensive wounds, 35 wounds to the head and neck, 29 to the back and shoulder, and 6 fatal wounds. This court has reviewed and seen more than its fair share of autopsy photos. The autopsy photos in this particular case were particularly difficult. The 49 defensive wounds indicate that Tristan Bailey was conscious, that she was aware, and that she was doing everything she could to fend off this attack. She suffered a painful, horrifying death from someone that she trusted. He indicated that how he was going to do it, that he would take them into a wooded place, that he would stab them, he would kill them and then run away so that he could keep on killing. He told his best friend that he wanted to kill someone to see what it felt like, and he wanted to watch them bleed out.
It was after his address that he sentenced Fucci.
Mr. Fucci, having entered a plea of guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I adjudicate you guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristan Bailey. I sentence you to life in prison.
And on Fucci's face, the coldness the judge spoke about was very visible. Aiden Fucci is now serving his sentence in the Florida Department of Corrections, where he will remain for decades before any chance of review. Shocking as his crime was, Aiden Fucci was punished. But what happens when a young offender shows no remorse? This is Nikolas Jacob Cruz, who was charged with 17 counts of premeditated first-degree murder and 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder in Parkland, Florida.
Count 1 of the indictment, the murder in the first degree of Luke Hoyer, the court imposes a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Cruz was a former student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. On February 14, 2018, he entered the school armed with an AR-15 style rifle and opened fire on students and staff. In just minutes, 17 people were killed and 18 others wounded, making it the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history. Cruz fled the scene on foot, blending in with fleeing students before being arrested about an hour later in Coral Springs. Sheriff Scott Israel faced criticism for his handling of the case and was ultimately fired alongside other police officers. The sheriff's negligence was highlighted. On February the 5th, 2016, an anonymous tip came into the Broward Sheriff's Office from someone who saw Nikolas Cruz, just 17 at the time, threatening on Instagram to carry out a school shooting and sharing a picture of himself armed with guns. That crucial info got passed along to Deputy Scott Peterson, who was serving as the school resource officer right there at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Then, on September 23, 2016, a peer counselor reached out to Peterson with concerns about Cruz possibly trying to end his life by drinking gasoline, along with reports of self-harm through and his interest in purchasing a firearm. Although a mental health expert recommended against forcing him into commitment, the school stepped up and promised to run a full threat evaluation on him. Just 5 days later, on September 28, 2016, a caseworker from the Florida Department of Children and Families wrapped up their investigation, declaring Cruz mentally stable, even though they noted recent self-inflicted marks on his arms. His mother, Linda Cruz, opened up about his history of scrawling hateful messages on his backpack and his recent chats about acquiring weapons. Fast forward to September 24, 2017, when a YouTube commenter using the handle Nikolas Cruz left a chilling remark about aspiring to be a professional school shooter. That red flag got flagged to the FBI's office in Mississippi, but sadly they never linked it back to the Nikolas Cruz down in South Florida. On November 1, 2017, Linda Cruz's cousin, Catherine Blaine, contacted the Broward Sheriff's Office in a panic, warning them that Cruz had guns in his possession and begging for help in getting them taken away. In the end, a trusted family friend stepped in and agreed to hold on to the weapons, as documented by the sheriff's office. Later that month, on November 29, 2017, the family in Palm Beach County, who had welcomed Cruz into their home after his mother's passing, dialed up the local sheriff's office to report a heated brawl between him and their 22-year-old son. One family member shared that Cruz had vowed to grab his gun and return, admitting he'd previously pointed firearms at people's heads. Even so, they chose not to press for an arrest, hoping things would cool off once he settled down. The very next day, on November 30th, 2017, another call poured into the Broward Sheriff's Office, this time from someone in Massachusetts, who raised alarms about Cruz hoarding guns and knives, labeling him a potential school shooter in the making. The deputy on the line suggested the caller pivot to reaching out directly to the Palm Beach sheriff instead. Early in the new year, on January 5th, 2018, an urgent message hit the FBI's national tip line, detailing Cruz's stated desire to kill people and warning of a possible school attack. Tragically, that vital alert never made its way to the FBI field office in Miami. And then, on February 14th, 2018,
another town in America is mourning the victims of a school shooting. This time, it's a small community in Kentucky.
The worst grade school shooting in U.S. history, at least 27 dead, 20 children, 7 adults, including the principal.
Deputy Scott Peterson, the on-site resource officer, pulled his weapon while standing just outside the building amid the gunfire targeting students and teachers, but he stayed put and never went inside to confront the threat. During the case against Nikolas Cruz, Judge Elizabeth Scherer addressed both the perpetrator and the court.
Count 1 of the indictment, the murder in the first degree of Luke Hoyer, the court imposes a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Count 2 of the indictment, the murder in the first degree of Martin Duque Anquiano, the court imposes a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole.
She pronounced one by one 34 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for Cruz, one each for the slain. And what did Cruz think of this?
Mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. Count 9, for the murder in the first degree of Christopher Hickson, the court imposes a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Nothing. Unremorseful. Nikolas's case is almost as shocking as the next. What happens when a teen is meticulous with malicious crimes? This is Tahj Brewton, who was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, armed robbery, and evidence tampering in Marion County, Florida.
He was only convicted of 1 first-degree murder, and to suggest that this defendant deserves the same sentence would almost suggest that he gets 2 free murders, because one person who's a juvenile commits a murder and gets 40 years. So we're going to give someone who's convicted of 3 murders the same sentence. That they don't stand on the same. They're not the same.
3 teenagers lay dead in Ocklawaha, victims of a chilling robbery spree gone horribly wrong. Tahj Brewton, only 16 at the time, faced the harshest charges as the mastermind behind the killings. Between March 30th and April 1st, 2023, Layla Silvernail, Michael Hodo Jr., and Camille Quarles were found shot to death in locations around Ocklawaha. Layla was discovered near a dumpster, critically wounded, and later died at the hospital. Michael was found by the roadside. Camille was hidden in the trunk of Layla's submerged vehicle. Though under 18, Brewton was tried as an adult due to the severity and premeditation of the crimes. When the case made it to court, what happened next would seal Brewton's fate. First, the judge clarified Brewton's part in his crimes.
Is that he orchestrated the death of 3 juveniles without any pretense or any justification in any sense whatsoever. He did that at the time after cutting off his electronic monitor for a juvenile offense for offensive carjacking. He did this offense within a couple of months of being placed on the electronic monitor. I just find that the seriousness and the heinousness of these offenses outweigh any mitigation that's been placed in front of the court.
And then the sentence came.
The thing is that he orchestrated the death of 3 juveniles without any pretense or any justification in any sense whatsoever. He did that at the time after cutting off his electronic monitor for a juvenile offense for offensive carjacking. He did this offense within a couple of months of being placed on the electronic monitor. I just find that the seriousness and the heinousness of these offenses outweigh any mitigation that's been placed in front of the court.
And the hand of justice kept coming down hard.
He is the B defendant. He will be ordered to serve life imprisonment. In count 5, robbery with a firearm, I misread that. It's count 3. Count 4 is robbery. Count 5, robbery with a firearm. He will be ordered to serve life imprisonment. Count 6, let me go back. Count 4 and 5, he's adjudicated guilty of robbery with a firearm.
Judge, he's only charged with 1 robbery firearm in this case. That other robbery is Mr. Robinson. Yes.
I'm trying to read this and think at the same time. He's adjudicated guilty in count 4 of robbery with a firearm as a B defendant or serve life in imprisonment. Count 5, he is not in that offense.
And what did Brewton make of this?
44, 20 CCF 1345. All right. Good luck to you, sir. You have 30 days to file an appeal. There is a $100 fine in court costs on count 1.
He clearly was not happy. Brewton was rightly punished for his crimes. But what about another teen who carried out this cold and premeditated crime with him? This is Robert Robinson, who was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, armed robbery, and evidence tampering in Marion County, Florida.
The offenses in this case are absolutely only sentences appropriate for these crimes is life imprisonment.
In the spring of 2023, 3 teenagers were found brutally executed in Ocklawaha, their lives cut short in a violent robbery gone wrong. Robinson, then just 17, stood accused alongside 2 others in this harrowing case. Between March 30 and April 1st, 2023, Layla Silvernail, Michael Hodo Jr., and Camille Quarles were discovered with fatal gunshot wounds scattered across the Ocklawaha area. Layla was found near a dumpster, barely alive, but later succumbed to her injuries in a hospital. Michael was discovered roadside, and Camille's body was hidden in the trunk of Layla's submerged vehicle. A grand jury in May 2023 indicted Robinson and his co-defendant Tahj Brewton on 3 counts of first-degree murder, while a younger accomplice faced 1 count. All were also charged with armed robbery and evidence tampering. Despite their ages, Robinson 17, Brewton 16, and Atkins only 12, the callous nature and premeditation of their actions pushed the case into adult court. The crimes were violent, and age was not an excuse. The judge announced the consequences: life imprisonment. This is what Robert thought of it.
Choices, it ain't no excuses for my choices. I'm not gonna make excuses for it or blame anybody but myself. I just want to apologize.
Robert was remorseful. But what about the reaction of 2 teens who lured their friend to her death? Well, this is Eddie Ratcliffe and Scarlett Jenkinson, who were charged with murder in Warrington, England.
Taking the evidence as a whole, I find that the impact of your ASD on your culpability is limited.
2 teenagers, both just 15 years old at the time, stood accused of a brutal crime that shook their community to its core. Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe lured 16-year-old Brianna Gay to Colquitt Linear Park in February 2023. There, in a horrifying act, Brianna was stabbed 28 times and killed. The attack was not spontaneous. It was a calculated, premeditated murder. Jenkinson, obsessed with serial killers and driven by dark motives, had even attempted to poison Brianna months before. Ratcliffe, a quiet but knife-obsessed youth, provided the weapon and was complicit in the deadly act. The police arrested the pair within a day, charging them with murder.
Pardon?
How come I'm a suspect?
How come you're a suspect?
Because I'm the last person at scene, or is it?
I don't know. All the information I've received is you are a suspect, okay?
You Eddie?
Yeah.
Eddie, you're locked up suspicion of murder, alright? You don't have to say anything, but you may harm you eventually don't mention when questioned. So you later line in court, and if you do say evidence, do you understand?
Yeah.
Unlock these.
The sentencing would reflect not only the brutal nature of the attack, but also the young age and mental health considerations of the defendants. What the judge would say next would underscore the severity and complexity of this tragic case.
Starting point, but for the mitigation, particularly that relating to maturity and mental disorder. There must still be an uplift, but it will be moderated. In Eddie's case, I find that the balance to be struck between aggravating factors, which are not quite as high as in Scarlett's case, and the mitigation I have identified is such as to cancel each other out. In saying that, I have taken account of all the medical evidence and accept the diagnosis of ASD has some impact, but the extent to which it reduced your culpability in the circumstances of this offending is limited. This was undoubtedly a very serious offence with multiple aggravating factors. That is the context in which I impose minimum terms which are lengthy for offenders of your age, albeit significantly less than an equivalent sentence for an adult. The parole board will have to decide if and when either or both of you can be released. That will only happen if you no longer pose a danger. If you are released, you will remain on licence for life and you may be recalled to prison. I will now sentence each of you. You may remain seated. In both cases, the relevant statutory surcharge will apply. Scarlett Jenkinson, for the murder of Brianna Jai.
As for their reactions, Scarlett and Eddie received the full punishment for their crimes. But what about a teenager that gangs up on his teacher? This is Jeremy Goodale, who was charged with first-degree murder in Fairfield, Iowa.
Participation in the murder by you, Mr. Goodale, is the next factor. And I find that you knowingly participated in the murder of Naheema Grammer, and by your own admissions, hit the victim with a baseball bat 5 times using lethal force. While Mr. Miller concocted the plan without your help, the execution of that plan would not have occurred. So I find this as an aggravating factor, and I don't think you have the same culpability as Mr. Miller. I think it's less, but still without your help, he couldn't have done it. The nature of the offense.
Goodale was just 16 years old when he and his co-defendant Willard Miller planned and carried out the murder of Nohema Graber, their Spanish teacher at Fairfield High School. The attack was brutal. Graber was beaten to death, and her body was concealed under a tarp, a wheelbarrow, and railroad ties in a wooded area. The crime took place in 2021, shocking the community and leaving a scar on those who knew Graber. In court, the judge addressed the accused.
Mr. Goodale, and unlike your co-defendant, it's clear to me that you have regretted this role in Miss Graber's murder. You've been remorseful for these proceedings, and this is a mitigating factor. Factor G is your acceptance of responsibility. This is another mitigating factor, Mr. Goodale. You pled guilty to first-degree murder and acknowledged your actions.
Goodale admitted to striking Graber multiple times with a baseball bat, a fact the judge emphasized in sentencing. But unlike Miller, who masterminded the plan, Goodale showed genuine regret for his role in the crime.
Again, I think this is a mitigating factor based on the evidence presented. While you were older than Mr. Miller, and it was clear to me that you were not more mature than him, and that Mr. Miller was far more sinister in his planning and the execution of this crime.
And after all of that, the law came down hard.
To life with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
And Goodale's reaction?
The sentence is permissible under current Iowa law. The presumption against mandatory minimum sentences has been rebutted by the nature of circumstances of this case. And it represents the appropriate time of incarceration based on the defendant's premeditated murder.
Goodale's remorse put the judge on his side, even with his punishment handed to him. But what about an unremorseful teenage killer? This is Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips, who was charged with first-degree murder in Jacksonville, Florida.
Did he demonstrate it to you actually how he struck her?
Yes, sir. Took the baseball bat, and he did that. And then she quieted down, but then started back, and he then took a third full swing onto her head. And then he said he stabbed her in the throat,
with a knife?
Cut her throat, yes.
Phillips was just 14 when his world took a dark turn. He lived with his family in Jacksonville, a quiet kid with no history of violence. Maddie Clifton, an 8-year-old neighbor and friend, was part of his everyday life. But on November 3rd, 1998, everything changed forever. That day, Phillips and Maddie played baseball outside his home. An accident happened. The ball struck Maddie's eye. She cried and screamed. Terrified of his father's reaction, Phillips panicked. He dragged Maddie inside, where he tried to silence her with a baseball bat. When Maddie was still alive under his bed, Phillips fatally stabbed her in the throat and chest.
Of Maddie Clifton's family filled nearly the entire side of the courtroom, listening very intently to what both attorneys said during their opening statements. Phillips, in his own right, sat quietly, looking down with his eyes closed much of the time as the prosecutor.
Maddie's disappearance sparked a desperate search. Phillips even joined the volunteers looking for her. Days later, his own mother discovered Maddie's body hidden in his bedroom. Police arrested Phillips, who confessed within hours. The details of the crime remain chilling. Prosecutors questioned parts of Phillips' story, pointing to inconsistencies and suggesting a deeper motive. Yet, no evidence of sexual assault was found. Phillips was tried as an adult despite being just 14. His defense focused on panic and immaturity, but the court heard little from him directly. His lawyer chose not to call witnesses or let Phillips testify. The trial lasted only 2 days. The verdict was swift.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree, as charged in the indictment.
Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips, it is the sentence of this court that you be confined in prison without the benefit of parole for the rest of your natural life.
Josh's reaction.
What do you think about Josh?
Years passed, and Phillips was granted a resentencing hearing. However, his sentence was upheld with eligibility for resentencing starting in 2023. While he was not resentenced in 2023, the case is currently underway. Josh Phillips might still be seeking redemption, but what happens when another teen is not? This is John Honore, who was charged with second-degree murder in New Orleans, Louisiana.
He's a little jerk. He's a little punk, okay? And he deserves to go where he's going. He is a demon, and God saw that demon that day. And that's how he got, Linda's arm got severed. God let her die with good people who loved her. And we've put away the demons now. And the future demons, they better look out, because the DA's office is not playing anymore.
So the night of March 21st, 2022 would shatter a community. John Honore was one of 4 teenagers involved in a brutal carjacking gone deadly. The victim, 73-year-old Linda Fricke, was dragged to her death on Bienville Street. Justice followed soon after. A jury convicted Honore of second-degree murder after just 1 day of trial, with deliberations lasting 4 hours. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, eligible for parole after 25 years, due to his juvenile status at the time of the crime. Honore's reaction.
John Honore, he did not apologize to the family at all. In fact, he said nothing to them.
Following this lack of remorse, the DA argued for the justification of the sentencing.
Also know there's not a single person in this room who believes that it is okay to drag a 73-year-old woman to her death. The juvenile system is set up in a way that a person would be done with any sentence at the age of 21. That wouldn't be accountability, that wouldn't be justice for a family, and nor would it be enough time to fix what was broken in that person that caused them to make bad choice after bad choice that took a life.
The victim's family did not hold back either.
Little jerk. He's a little punk, okay? And he deserves to go where he's going. He is a demon. And God saw that demon that day. And that's how he got, Linda's arm got severed. God let her die with good people who loved her. And we've put away the demons now. And the future demons, they better look out, because the DA's office is not playing anymore.
The other teenagers involved pled guilty to attempted manslaughter and received 20-year sentences. Despite their youth, they were prosecuted as adults, underscoring the severity of the crime.